This is our VPP video for our Lesson 5 vocabulary words. Our first word is advocate. Here's the sentence. Because John is a Christian, he does not advocate gambling as a means for increasing a person's income. The context clues strategy that's going to help you figure out what the meaning of this word is the cause and effect context clue strategy. So, because John is a Christian, there should be a lot of different effects in his life, and one of those effects would be that he would not advocate gambling as a means for getting more money. If you advocate something, you recommend it, you like it, you speak in favor of it. Okay, so since John is a Christian, even though he doesn't advocate gambling, he should advocate things like pro-life, the pro-life position, and the value of human life, etc. Okay, so the synonyms for this word are promote or encourage. The opposite would be oppose or contest. If you're against something, you oppose it. Maybe you contest a decision made by the referee in a game. Now, this word can also be used as a noun, and it's pronounced a little bit differently when it's a noun. Okay, if I say he is an advocate for the pro-life position, you see how it's pronounced a little bit differently. So advocate, advocate, depending on the part of speech. Here's a picture to help us remember what this means. We've got these kind of stick figure cutouts, and we've got one stick figure that has a megaphone. And so it just symbolizes how this figure is speaking out, representing, just kind of advocating some sort of position to the other people in the crowd who are listening to him. Our next word is ogre. I'm sure a certain ogre pops into your mind already. You can't really get the meaning of this sentence from the meaning of this word from the sentence. Children panicked when they saw the ugly ogre crouched under the bridge. You should be able to figure out that it's a noun. And again, you probably know what this means already, so we won't waste a whole lot of time trying to figure it out. It's a brute, a large monster, a frightful giant. So I'm sure this is the picture of ogre that came into your mind from the movie Shrek. We've got Shrek the ogre, although he does not act as a brute. He kind of does the opposite of that. Our next word is bandy. Some people bandy important ideas around instead of treating them with the seriousness they deserve. Okay, so this is a noun. You're doing something, and you're going to use the opposite context clue strategy to figure out what this word means. So if they're bandying ideas instead of treating them with seriousness and importance, what they're doing is discussing something casually. They're not making a big deal out of it. They're not emphasizing the importance. They're just exchanging words. So for example, when you guys go to lunch every day, most of the time I'm sure you're just bandying about things that have happened, maybe what happened in the football game or a movie that you've seen recently or what you watched on Netflix. You're not really talking about serious ideas. You're bandying ideas at lunch. Here's a picture from one of my favorite movies and books. This is a quote. "Be silent, keep your forked tongue behind your teeth. I have not passed through fire and death to bandy crooked words with a witless worm." So Gandalf here is talking to another character saying, I'm not here to mess around, to bandy, to just discuss casual, unimportant things. I've been through too much to just mess around with things that are worthless. Our next word is efface. The researchers wanted to efface the scourge of cancer. Well, of course, you have to know what scourge is in order to figure out efface. You can figure out, I'm sure, that scourge is not something positive because it's connected with cancer here. So scourge means a cause of affliction, and the researchers want to efface the affliction of cancer. It just simply means they want to get rid of. Okay, so it's a verb. They want to obliterate it, to wipe out cancer, to erase it. Okay, the opposite would be enshrine. If you enshrine something, you worship it. So obviously, if you want to get rid of it, it's not anything that you would idolize. So, an easy way to remember efface is just to think of an eraser because that's what effacing is doing. It's erasing, it's destroying, it's getting rid of something. Our next word is entity. The search for entities on other planets continues to capture the imaginations of scientists and the general public. So, this is a noun, and we want to figure out what kind of thing this is. Look at the word planet. That's going to help you figure out what this means. We're talking about something that has existence, either physical or mystical. So, we are all physical entities. People often wonder if there are life forms on other planets, life forms that have a physical existence, think ET, etc. If you're into Stranger Things, think of that weird entity that comes and goes after the people in that town. Now, the mystical part would be talking about entities that are ghosts. So I've got a picture here. I'm not sure if you guys believe in ghosts, and I'm not here to debate that and give you my exact thoughts on that. But this picture was actually taken by my cousin. This was at my uncle's house. He lives on a lake, as you can see. His house would be in the background. You can't see it. And one evening they were there at the lake. This was a couple of years ago. No one was there except for my cousin and her husband and her parents, my aunt and uncle. And my cousin took this picture as the sun was beginning to set. No one was there. Then, when she looked at this picture, she saw this figure in the background. Like, as I said, nobody was there. So, see this figure here. You can barely make it out. And it's just very odd. It's some kind of, to us, seems like a mystical entity. Their house was built around a cabin that was there during the Civil War, and the cabin was actually used as a Civil War hospital where soldiers were brought to be treated, and some of them died. And so I don't know if this maybe is a mystical entity from the Civil War. It's just kind of a very odd experience that happened to my cousin. Our next word is charisma. The crook hoped his charisma would persuade the detectives to overlook his jewelry heist, meaning he stole some jewelry, and put him back on the street. Think of the word charm to help you figure out what this means. It is a noun. I know that seems odd, but it's like an idea. Personal appeal or attraction, magnetism, charm. Again, think of the word charm. We all know people who have charisma. Kind of a modern term for that is swag or swagger. So here's somebody dabbing. Everybody seems to do this now, but it's just kind of a way to show that you have charisma and charm and swag. All right, mesmerize. Edwin mesmerized the restless crowd with his evil eye. So he's doing something, so it's a verb, and I think Edwin is probably some sort of magician. Um, and it says here to hypnotize, to put somebody in a trance, to captivate them. The opposite would be bore. You're totally not interested in what's happening. But if you're mesmerized, you're totally sucked into what's happening and you're not thinking about anything else. So here's a picture, and this is a picture of a girl being put into a trance. The other person is kind of swinging back and forth this charm or something to put this person in a trance. They're being mesmerized. Our next word is dastardly. And even though this ends in ly, it's not going to be an adverb because it's modifying a noun, which is thief, so that's going to be an adjective. The dastardly thief stole money only from helpless elderly people. So obviously, you do not want to be described as dastardly. We can look at the action of what the thief is doing to come up with the meaning of dastardly. Cowardly, because he's only stealing, I guess it could be a she, but only stealing from people who can't defend themselves. They're helpless, they're older, maybe they have some sort of physical limitation. They're treacherous behavior, dishonorable behavior, shameful. The opposite would be righteous. So, if you're a Star Wars fan, I know it's not real clear here, but this was from the movie that came out last year. We've got Kylo Ren doing the dastardly, treacherous deed of killing his own father. His father is taken unaware. He didn't expect this to happen, at least it didn't seem so to me, and now he has killed his own father. What a dastardly deed committed by Kylo Ren. Next is just, this is a word that you hear frequently. I'm sure a lot of your teachers use this word. Maurice often found it difficult to grasp the gist of complicated essays. So he's looking at the essay, it's complicated, and he's having a hard time getting the main point. What's the author trying to teach me? What's the bottom line, so to speak? Synonym would be idea or essence, like the heart of the matter. And so here's a little diagram to kind of help you. This might be used for composing a paragraph. You've got the main idea, and then from that main idea or gist, you have supporting details that back up or support or prove the main idea or the gist of the story or the paragraph. All right, jaded. Kate became jaded about love after, so cause and effect, the third boyfriend in a month broke up with her. Poor Kate. I think I would give up on boys if I were her. And she has given up. She's worn out from being in a relationship that doesn't work, dulled, meaning she's not interested anymore, as from overindulgence, meaning you've had too much of something. Okay, exhausted. She's wearied from it. She probably isn't going to date for a long time. The opposite would be fresh, meaning it's new, it's exciting. So, Sesame Street fans, I put a picture of Oscar the Grouch, and it says, me, cynical. Cynical could be a synonym for jaded. If somebody is cynical, they think that pretty much everybody has selfish motives behind their behavior, that most people aren't selfless and are only looking out for themselves. So that's kind of a form of jaded, because when you're jaded, you don't think that anybody really has good motives or good purposes behind their behavior, and you're tired basically of dealing with people. So this takes us to the end of our Lesson 5 words. Make sure you put the honor pledge on exercise 1 that you completed watching and listening to the whole video.